34, Catalan Dragons 6 in a game at the LSP that showed that the Leigh Leopards are the real deal in 2025. This was an assured display from the Leopards throughout the night. Catalan Dragons again looking very, very poor, especially in attacking phases. They had some really good field position in this game. Yet again, did the Catalan Dragons just don't seem to be able to execute it. Forget the 6 points. That was a consolation try. This was all about the Leopards. The be the Raw Brigade will be incredibly positive about their side's chances in 25 to maybe, just maybe, get back to Wembley. Who knows, even their first grand final. Silverware's still a long way off, but everybody must be impressed with the way in which the Leigh Leopards have started the 2025 season. The new signings have just slotted in so well. And I have to say, we were so used to Lachlan Lamb on the left side of the attacking phase with the likes of Kai O'Donnell and Josh Charlie on the wing, and all of a sudden he's shifted to the right, and his combination in this game with Yamila Handler was a thing of absolute poetry. Beautiful stuff from both of these two players on the night. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Lachlan Lamb in fine form. He's been getting some points, hasn't he, from the Albert Goldthorpe and the Man of Steel, and we've been questionable of that in the first two games. No doubt about it. He's getting points in this one. Lachlan Lamb really assured in this game. Yamila Handler, the weight of that name on his shoulders, he has been outstanding in the last two seasons for the Leigh Leopards, and this was all about Yamila Handler. His second try took some scoring. Wonderful strength, lovely step, everything that you want from your centre. It was absolutely on point. Good to see Keenan Brand as well going in for his try. Again, deputising on the wing, doing really well. We've got to give a mention, of course, to AJ. AJ on debut, and what a debut. That run. I mean, the Jack Hughes try to go from your own in-goal area. Beautiful run out of the in-goal area from Towers. And off he goes, down the field of play. And there's Jack Hughes right at the end of the set of six going in for another try for the Leigh Leopards. I mean, that on the night of all of the tries must have been the one that really made Adrian Lamb happy, to go from your own in-goal area with that young man with his dancing feet to then, of course, ending that set with a try from Jack Hughes. Quite simply outstanding. But like I said, there's lots to be happy about. The only real blot on the copybook on this one, if you're a Leopards fan, is the spectre of Robbie Mulhern now probably being out for quite a few weeks. And that's a hammer blow. Just about he's not quite settled in at this moment in time. He's going to need a bit of time. I thought Owen Trout, lovely football skills. Oh, go on there, lads. Go on, Mr. Trout. Lovely little bit of football skills to set Brandy up on the way. Oh, yes, wonderful stuff. Sign him up at Old Trafford. They need help this season. Great stuff. Absolutely wonderful from Mr. Trout. He's had a steady start, hasn't he, to the 25 season as Owen. I'm really pleased for him. But like I say, let's just talk about Yamila. What an outstanding display. There's no surprise where the 3 points are going in this one. But before we get to that, let's talk Catalan Dragons. Catalan Dragons, for me, at this moment in time, really struggling, and I'm really concerned now for Steve McNamara. I looked on their social media feed today and have to say the Catalan fans are coming out in their droves. There's no doubt nobody's going to be rushing to the bar to buy him a nice bottle of Bordeaux anytime soon, not in a million years. They're very upset with Steve McNamara. Time for a change all over their feeds. He's under a lot of pressure. He was under a lot of pressure last year, and on this display, let's be fair, over there, a decent effort against Warrington Wolves. And again, we're going to see, was that more about Warrington Wolves than Catalan? Because, we'll see what happens in Vegas tonight when Warrington come up against Wigan. That's going to be a real pinch point for both teams. Wherever they are at the start of the season, we're all looking forward to that. But let's be fair, they were well beaten against Hull FC at home. They've now been absolutely hammered and just bested, really. Again, I go back to the fact they found themselves in some really good positions, but they just got inept attack. They just don't seem to be able to convert territory and possession into points. You look at Leigh, on the other hand, they just iced it time and time again. And that's the difference between these two sides. And on the first 3 rounds showing, one team looked every inch a playoff contender, every inch a team to be feared in terms of trophies. The other, destined not to finish in the playoffs for the second year running, which is unthinkable if you're a Catalan Dragons fan. So, and again, when you consider the quality that they brought in, Kiri's still not firing, a lot of people getting on his back. It's going to take time. Halfback, very difficult role. It's a different type of halfback in Super League than it is over in the NRL. Some hit the ground running, some take a little bit of time. Kiri will come good. There's no doubt about that. He's too good a player not to come good. They missed Pangai Jr. I get that. I understand that. They're without some key personnel, the Catalan Dragons. No Satai. We know that he's really good off the bench for the Catalan Dragons. I'm not even going there with Tompkins. For me, if you're relying on Sam Tompkins, Catalan Dragons, something's wrong there. And you've got to say that. A great pro, great servant, great player. But Father Time's there. You can't rely on Sam Tompkins. Artur Morg not being there, massive blow for the Catalan Dragons. We know that Morg is the man that makes them tick. He is the player that can break a game open. He is there for me, best strike player. Wasn't there. I get that. I understand that. But again, you look at the Leigh Leopards. No Josh Charnley. What did they do? They bring in the likes of Bailey Hodgson. They bring in the likes of Keenan Brand. And they just play sparkling rugby league and in they go. There's so many parallels here between Catalan and Leigh. And Leigh are just moving on, not a problem whatsoever. You know, they brought in the likes of O'Neill, who yet again was outstanding for the Leopards last night. You know, Catalan's brought in experience in the shape of Whitehead, and I know which one I'd rather have in my team based on the first 3 rounds. So, you know, you've got to say at the moment, you know, Steve McNamara has brought these experienced pros in, and on his head be it. And, you know, to go to Leigh last night, the stark contrast between these two teams in terms of recruitment policy, in terms of attitude, desire, in terms of, you know, what's there to back up, you know, next man up policy at Leigh looking really strong. As for Catalan, massive question mark. They brought Smith in at scrum out again, changing the scrum halves, changing the halfback, changing the engine room. Is that the right thing to do? I don't think it is. I think Steve McNamara's got a lot of problems at the moment. He looks like a panicking coach who's trying very, very quickly to decide, you know, what fits where. That's what a pre-season's for. And we know that Catalan's struggling pre-season because they've only got Toulouse to play. It's a real comedy of errors at the moment, is the Catalan Dragons. And I really fear now for Steve McNamara. He desperately needs a win next week. I don't think he keeps in his position if he goes 4 losses from 4. It might happen sooner, and I don't want that to happen. I think Steve's done a great job over in the Catalan Dragons, but when the fans start getting on your back, we know last year that the director there, he was a little bit you know, he wasn't showing too much faith. I think these are really testing times now for Steve McNamara. I wish him well. I think he deserves to stay in post. I think he's earned the right to stay in post, but he needs a win. And he needs a win quick. As for Leigh, Adrian Lamb delighted. Yes, he's got some injury concerns, but to be 3 from 3 at the start of the new season and playing the style of rugby that they are, he is going to be absolutely over the moon, as are the Royal Brigade. I don't blame him. I'd be over the moon as well if I were them. Absolutely sensational rugby league football from the Leigh Leopards at the LSV last night. Right, let's get into the 3-2-1. No surprise, it has to be Hanley. Has to be Hanley. It wasn't just the tries. It was his all-round game. Hanley was superb on the night. You know, he did his bit in defence with 14 strong tackles in there. You know, 8 tackle busts from the man on the night. 17 carries, 117 metres, 3 clean breaks in there for good measure. The only thing with Romano that he's got to tidy up a little bit. He does miss the odd tackle, and he has got the tendency to make a few errors. But you know, let's just not, you know, penny pinch here. That was a stellar performance. That second try, third one was good. The second that he scored, for me, that's centre play of the highest quality. Many congratulations, young man. 2 points, of course, has to go to Lockie Lamb. Lockie Lamb was the engine room. You know, 13 kicks in general play, 4 attacking kicks on the night. So, you know, does his bit in defence with, you know, 21 tackles as well. But, you know, his composure, his 3 assists, absolutely on point. Lamb last night, superb, fully deserving of his 2 points. And the 1 point, I mean, this is where it gets really tricky. I thought Ethan O'Neill, again, really good. Really good. So too actually was Jack Hughes on the other side. Got to give Jack Hughes his due. He stepped in well for Frankie Holton last night. I thought he was good as well. Taos on debut. Oh, yeah, played well, lovely. But like I say, that run out of his backfield was really strong from the young man, and he should be very happy. But the 1 point I'm going to give to Bailey Hodgson. Bailey Hodgson stepping in for the injured, or the ill, whichever one it was, David Armstrong. I mean, that, based on Armstrong's first 2 performances, that's a lot of pressure for a young man to have on his shoulders. And he just took it in his stride. He was so composed. His work out of backfield, 24 carries for 193 metres. He was really strong throughout the game. I'm really impressed with Bailey Hodgson. He had a great pre-season. But like I say, to come on into this game, taking over from David Armstrong, and to play that style of rugby league, so mature for his age, I thought he's fully deserving of his point. Really unlucky, the likes of Ethan O'Neill, not to get a point in this. But I do think that Hanley, Lamb and Hodgson deserve those 3-2-1s. Do you agree with that? What are you making of the Catalan Dragons? I mean, for me, it's a head scratcher. Big problems there in Perpignan. And what are you making of the Leigh Leopards? We've said, you know, this is a fight. This is a warning shot Leigh Leopards, you fans out there, and I'll be saying this to Steph as well, none of this nonsense you're finishing outside the top six. That's gone now. Now the expectation is there. You should be talking playoff rugby league. You should be talking a good Challenge Cup run. You should be talking an improvement on your semi-final berth last year. That's where you are now. I'm sorry. All the Super League is watching. None of this nonsense. None of this, we'll play it down and then we'll have our glory. No, the glory should be there. We're going to put you right under the microscope now here at Super League Raw. You're no longer the also-rans. You should be really backing your team now and expecting some really, really good times in 2025. We're not going to stand for any more of this nonsense. You've been warned, Mr. Sale. Not having any more of that. You are now considered to be real contenders in 2025. Yes, it's only after round 3, but come on, let's get real. There you go. The Leigh Leopards, 34. Catalan Dragons, 6. We'll be back with more in the sheds later on.